Hi there. So in this video we are going to focus on creating functionality so that we can update our HUD. We are currently having two texts here, retries and score, but these are not really doing anything. We want to be able to update these whenever we want. So that's what we are going to focus on. I'm going to go back to the graph. Now we are in the HUD. I'm going to create an custom event. I'm gonna call it update retries. And or really what you can do is you can do this to make it even easier. I'm gonna rename this to reduce retries. And we can have another function. I'm gonna call it increase retries. And what we're gonna do here is if you go back to the controller, we need two variables here, because we want to store our variables in the controller and access them from the HUD. I'm gonna call this retries and click the I so we can see it from the scene. It makes it public. I'm gonna add another one called score, and the same here, make it public. Compile and save. Go back here. And so what we're going to do here is whenever we want to be able to add to retries or reduce from retries. So let's start with retries. I'm gonna start with a reduce one. I'm gonna make some space here. I'm gonna drag this out. I'm gonna get the play controller, cast to BP player controller. It's our play controller, but this is really the ball controller as I call it. So cast to BP ball controller. Because in a game mode we set this as the default controller, so casting to ball controller will work. And so currently I'm accessing the ball controller because I want to access the variables there. Currently we are gonna access this retries. This is the reduce function. So I'm gonna just reduce one from the retries. So what you're gonna do is if you get the retries here, let's see, retries. If you drag from it and do two minus signs here, you will get something called decrement int. And yeah, so I'm gonna, when doing that, we are gonna really set the text here in the HUD, because we currently just updated retries. We updated it but removing one from it. So this decrement subtracts one from the specified value, then set it. So it's actually subtracting one from retries and updating the retries value. So I'm gonna do a set text here on this text retries we are having in the HUD. And I'm gonna drag from here and do a format text. So we can format our text in the HUD, and I'm gonna do this and curly braces. So curly braces really allows us to have an input into this format text. You will see what I mean. As you can see, we are now having an input. This input will go in here. So we can easily format our text in the HUD. So what I'm gonna do is, let's see, I don't know why that happens. Okay, so I'm gonna put this value here in here. and then I'm gonna connect this to this one. So really, what's going on here is that we have this reduce event and we cast it to ball controller so we can access the retries variable. I'm decrementing one from it, which also updates the variable with a new value. And then we are updating the HUD by doing a set text on that retries text variable. So I'm gonna do the other one as well. And as a mini challenge, please try to do the increase retries. And the only difference will be like you need to just change the text a little bit. Really, you can just use the same one here, but the only thing you need to be aware of is that instead of doing a decrement here, you need to do an increment instead, because we are adding to it. Try to see if you can figure this one out yourself. Please pause the video and give this a try. Okay, hopefully you did well. It's fairly simple, so what I'm going to do is just duplicate all of this. Control D. Okay, so I'm going to connect these together. And we are getting the ball controller again. We don't need to do a decrement here. I'm going to drag from here and try plus plus. That leads to an increment instead. And connect this here to update the HUD. And connect it here. Okay, so we have reduce retries, increase retries. I'm going to compile and save. So we have two functions to do this for us, either increase or reduce the retries we have. We want to also update the score, so why not add some functionality for that as well? If you go to the ball control, these are both integers. So I'm going to do a custom event. I'm going to call it add to score. And I'm going to add an input to it. Score to add. You can call it score to add. And it should be an integer. And I'm going to duplicate this again because we need to access our controller again. And I'm going to drag from here and type score. So I'm getting it. And we want to add to it whatever is in here that comes into the function. So I'm going to do an add here. Or maybe not. Let's try doing a plus instead, so we get add operation here. So if you hold down the control key and left click, you can move this around. I'm gonna move this down here. It doesn't really matter in this case because we are just adding some values together. I'm just trying to make it look better so we don't have many wires crossing each other. Okay, so what we're doing here is really score to add. We are updating our score. However, this plus operation here doesn't really update the score. It just calculates it here. This increment here does update the variable, but in this case, we are not doing any increment to decrement operation here, so we need to update the score variable manually after doing this calculation. So what I'm gonna do is just we can drag from here from the controller, search for score, and do a set score. So what are we going to set it to? Well, we're going to set it to the current value of score plus this new calculated value. Let's see, I'm just going to double check something. We don't need to do any plus. I'm already doing it down here. So all we need to do is really just drag from here and just update the score variable. Do a set score. I'm gonna delete this. Okay, so we just drag this in here and connect these here. I'm gonna make this look better again by adding reroute nodes. So this is quite simple. We have a to score function, and it accesses the score variable from a controller, and we are adding a score to the score variable here. And then we are updating the score variable here by doing a set score. We are setting the score variable here with this newly calculated value here for the score variable. So really, we just add to it and update it here. It's really simple stuff, so I don't think I need to explain that further. All we need to do is really just test this, because we haven't done that yet. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back to the ball controller, and we can now access the HUD from here. I'm going to drag out a new variable here for the HUD. We already have a reference to it here. So after add to viewport in the controller, I'm going to test our functions here. Let's start with increase retries. And I'm going to connect these. So you should add 1 to retries. Currently retries is 0, so by default so I'm going to add a number 3 there. And the score should be 0 by default. I'm going to compile and save. So now we are adding 1 to retries. And as you can see, the default value is 3. We are now adding 1, so that gives us 4. Instead of adding 1, I'm going to try to decrease 1. I think we called it, I'm gonna see what I called it, reduce retries. So I'm gonna run this function, reduce retries. So by default we are having 3, it should show 2. There you go, it shows 2. So now we know our updating of retries is really working. So let's test out the score. I'm gonna delete this again. So by default we are having 3 retries again. And score is by default 0, so I'm gonna get a reference to this again and do a add to score. I'm gonna add 10 to score. Try this out. Score is not really updating. Let's try to see why. I'm gonna go to the add to score function. Let's see, I'm adding 10. Oh, yeah, we are doing things correctly here, but I really forgot to update the HUD. So let's do that. I'm gonna drag out the score variable here and do get here, and then do a set text. And I need to do format text again. So what I'm gonna do is just duplicate this to speed things up. I'm gonna connect it here. I'm gonna type score, and I'm gonna type new score as an input here. And we are gonna drag this in here to the input. Okay, so let's see how this behaves. We are adding a score of 10. As you can see, it shows 10 on my screen now, so score is really updating properly. All right, so now we are having functionality to add to score, add or remove retries. And I'm gonna remove that. And we still need to build on this, so whenever we have pickups, stuff that we pick up from the scene, for example, that should give us score. And when that happens, we are going to access the HUD and add to score. And whenever we fall down, we should reduce the retries we are having. And if you want to, we could set the score to 0. Or we should just leave the score as it is. It's really up to you how you want to design it. So we still have work to do, but so far so good. So thanks for watching. We will continue with this in the next one. Bye for now.